When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
What's going on, everyone? It's your favorite neck beard, TBH, and I'm here to review one of my favorite movies of all time, Dawn of the Dead, 1978. Let's go, baby. Now, forgive me while I fanboy out all the fucking way in this review, okay? I love this movie. Sorry. It is what it is. I'm going to try to be as clear and concise as possible. For starters, if you haven't seen Dawn of the Dead, this movie playing right here, it's currently on YouTube for free. So, there you go. Personally, I have this collector's edition right there. Oh, Peep the Thing. My favorite horror movie of all time. So mad I missed the 40th anniversary last year. I wasn't thinking about it, so luckily, just in time for the 45th anniversary of this movie. But anyway, check it out if you haven't seen it. It's amazing. It's old, so I don't know what to tell you there. However, the remake Dawn of the Dead is actually pretty solid as well. It's not better than the OG, in my opinion. Speaking of horror, I would consider myself an aficionado, if you will. I've changed the set out a little bit to put up some horror icons, such as the Babadook. I got Shaun of the Dead, Jaws, Evil Dead Rise, which is currently my favorite horror movie released this year. Actually, favorite movie, it's just the first. It's just number one currently. It is what it is. I say all of this to ask you, what's your favorite scary movie? Seriously. Is it 3? 4? Which one? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Let's take... There's an explosion over here. Let's take this seriously. Okay. What's your favorite scary movie? Is it John Wick 3? What? Have you seen Keanu act? Come on now.
I must admit, I am curious. What brings you to my domain? Tell me, you come here to kill me?
No. Really, nigga?
Come on now. Even in that Dracula movie. Come on now. Okay, joke's over. Give me a second. This movie right here, Dawn of the fucking Dead. Sorry, George A. Romero. Dawn of the Dead. Gotta give him some respect, you know. This movie means so much to me, so thank you for joining me. This is the worst intro ever. Thanks for joining me, though. So, I'm gonna start off with story. Very simple concept. The main 4 characters, we have Fran, Peter, Roger, and Steven. Now, there are more characters in the movie, but those suffice it to say, if you've seen Scream 6, please forgive me.
We are the core fucking folk.
Thank you very much.
I hate myself.
right.
Yeah. So, those 4 characters are our central pieces of this movie. There will be more introduced later, but for now, we're just going to focus on those 4. Most people are unnamed anyway, besides those, so whatever. Peter and Roger, they are SWAT team members. And then we also have Fran and Steven, who are a couple. Fran is pregnant with Steven's child, and they work for a news station. I think he does traffic, or he works for the traffic department. I don't know, whatever. But this movie starts off with just utter chaos in a news station. They let you know from the get-go, shit has gone south. And there's just pandemonium in this area.
It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill.
At some point during this broadcast that we're currently watching, the crew and whatnot, they start abandoning their posts. Hell, including the security guard, said, fuck it, I'm out of here. I'd have been gone way before that. So, I guess kudos for being dedicated to your job, because I would have said deuces ASAP. Long story short, I have a lot of questions. I'm not going to ask them. I'm going to just get the fuck out. Now, if you've seen the 2004 remake, which is still, in my opinion, really solid, one of Zack Snyder's best films. Not saying much, but he did that. And BVS. Don't, hey. All right. It's not about him, okay? We're here to pay respects to George A. Romero. Oh, shit. All right. So we're introduced to Roger and Peter while they're currently raiding a low-income housing that's just overrun with zombies, apparently. Then you got this racist fuck right here who's just killing anyone who's brown. Long story short.
Come on, Martinez.
Yeah, come on, Martinez. Show your greasy little Puerto Rican ass so I can blow it right off. Blow all their asses off, low-life bastards. Blow all their low-life little Puerto Rican and nigger asses right off.
This fucking guy still says nigger, so... yeah, anyway. So out of those four, I would say Roger is sort of your wild card. He's the full of energy type, you know, kind of all over the place. Peter's just cool, calm, and reserved. Love that. Ken Foree.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.
Love that. Fran is the weakest of the bunch, at least for the first half. We'll get into that. And Steven's a bitch. I don't like him at all in the first half. He grew on me, of course, but initially, wasn't feeling it. The social commentary in this movie is chef's kiss. You may not quite understand what this one was going for as to why they said it in a mall. The commentary is mainly about consumerism. In a film that mainly takes place in a mall, essentially where everything's under one roof, it's a mecca of modern civilization. How could you not be happy there? You'd be surprised once the whimsy honeymoon phase of it all starts to go away. What next? I also want to give some props to the 2004 remake. It was a big Hollywood production with a good sized budget, so of course the effects are going to be way better in the 2004 remake. However, this thing right here, it's a fucking class act in cinema. But 2004 is effective in its own way. It's fun. It's a bit of an action film. Doesn't have the message and the context or commentary. At least not as much. Tom Savini, fuck it. His character's name is Blades. He's one of the bikers, one of the raiders. Yeah, he's in a shitload of Romero films and plays many roles. He's a man of many hats, if you will. Amazing work. This one is not scary, in my opinion. I know it's a horror film and there's some nasty shit in there. There's some horrific imagery. Oof, especially the pit in the early on. Ken and Roger are clearing out that apartment building I mentioned. It's pretty hectic in there. It's horrific in a way that it's about humanity. Check out Racist Cop.
Come on, you little bastards!
You see that shit? He didn't waste a second. He didn't flash a badge. He kicked in the door and blew a motherfucker's head off. I mean, what is this, an episode of The Boys? While doing my research for clips for this review, I end up watching the commentary on the DVD. Now, I'm a bit of a film nerd. I didn't go to film school or anything like that, but I love watching bonus features and, commentaries. It had the director, George Romero, his wife at the time, Christine Forster, Tom Savini, and a moderator who I do not know. It was a really fun time just kind of getting to know the ins and outs behind this film and, the struggle, but the fun of it all. It's a good time. Get you one like Christine. I was watching this commentary and she has her husband's back. Like, just not enough people have this trait, and get you one like her. She's always trying to, get him a bigger budget for the next movie. She is on him. She wants what's best for her husband, and it was great to hear that. It was very infectious. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to the movie Blade. Okay, I realized that the 25th anniversary just recently happened. I missed it.
Motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind?
I'm really disappointed in myself because Blade has a huge impact on me, which I would love to get into someday.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Maybe just the first two movies. Back to Dawn, 45 years later. Is this still the greatest zombie movie ever? Has it ever been? That's really up to you. I currently speaking now, I'm going to put it as my favorite zombie film. I love Day of the Dead, specifically Shaun of the Dead, Zombieland. There's so many subgenres within zombie films. I mean, there's so many. So I love the diversity. George A. Romero zombie films have a specific touch that I don't think has been matched. Probably won't be. Man was a master at his craft, so of course not. Super excited to find out that Twilight of the Dead, which was supposed to be the finale of the Dead series, apparently that is starting production this fall. Super excited to hear that. Can't wait to see how that turns out. That one will be for George. Rest in peace. This movie it's amazing how low the budget was and how this turned out. Oftentimes, the limitations of the budget creates this level of creativity that you can't really do with a $50-100 million movie, because as George put it himself during the commentary for this movie, every one of those dollars come with more problems, more people breathing down your neck. So this movie made for, I believe it was $640,000, maybe $740,000, less than $1 million in about late '77, which is about $3.2 million today in the States. Pretty low budget. It's amazing what you could do when you're limited. I like to think I'm an example of that. I am broke as fuck, and I just keep slowly adding new things to the set, or I keep swapping around. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I have a cracked iPhone 8. I don't know if you can see the cracks. Oh yeah, it's 3:28 in the morning. August 19th. Anyway, that is my phone. I'm currently not recording on my own phone here, so I know about limitations. This is why I'm recording so late to begin with, because, well, I had access to the phone. Meanwhile, I mean, I've had this all fucking day. I could have did this shit 12 hours ago, but I wanted to use the best possible camera, and, well, You gotta do what you gotta do, baby. This movie's not perfect. Let's get into some of those limitations that, while it led to a masterpiece in my opinion, this is not a flawless masterpiece. I gotta pick it apart a little bit here. So, sound design. A lot of old movies have this problem, so I won't hold it against Don here. However, it could certainly use a remaster. A few moments ago, there was a scene where Ken Foree's character, Peter, has to kill 2 zombie kids, and it is just not well put together in my opinion. Or you could just gun down 2 kids, I don't know. But just I didn't know if you could actually do that in a film back then. You could just gun down 2 kids, but in my opinion, it's done respectfully, and they were limited. Long story short, it understandably looks bad, but thanks to the acting by Ken Foree, aka Peter, he sold it. The zombies in the freezer, though, nah, fam. That ain't it, fam. Oh, that's unforgivable. Damn, I love this theme, man. This is one of my favorite theme scores, whatever you want to call it. I fucking love this song. I hear it all the time. Sometimes when I'm working, I'll just start humming it. It's so infectious. Gets me every fucking time, man. I just adore this. It makes no sense why it's in this movie. It does not fit a horror-esque theme movie, but damn, did they fucking nail that shit. This theme is kind of like camp sex, you know? It's fucking intense. I love the very simple plan of get the keys, turn on the power, lock up the doors, fortify, block off entrances, all that shit. Very simple plan. It's effective. But then what? That's kind of like the question of this movie. It's, once the time jump happens and you see that they've essentially built an apartment in this little room, you can clearly see that it starts to weigh in on them that there's nothing next. Like, they have the keys to the candy shop, essentially, but they're full. There's nothing more. There's no sustenance, I've only hit the surface level, and that's some deep-ass shit. Damn, this movie. There's only so many fur coats you can rock before it starts to get old. I understand that. This movie is a cheat. And I say that in a good way just because of how expertly it's written. Even if the execution, no pun intended, may be a bit dated for today's audience, I think it holds up. I really think you should check this movie out. Dawn of the Dead is an attack on your senses. It's very dark and horrific while still being light and humorous. It walks a dramatically fine line that not a lot of movies can pull off. So, brav fucking oh.
Looks like a free lunch.
Dad.
Did you bring a can opener?
No, I guess I didn't.
Then don't knock it. It's got its own key.
There are some serious audio issues. I watch with subtitles. Normally, that's just what I do most of the time with most movies. This did not offer any subtitles on the DVD, so that's very disappointing. It could use subtitles and a remaster. This movie has a charm that's, untouched in my opinion. It's cheap as fuck. Some of it makes no sense. The face paint of the zombies, sometimes they're gray, sometimes they're bluish green. It depends on the lighting, I guess, but it's not perfect. There's a lot of issues with this movie. There's a lot of dummies that are super obvious. It works. This scene right here is one of my favorites. When Peter is in the pit, in the cage, in the basement. Oh, man. Huge flaw, though. We clearly hear Peter fire 7 shots. 7. I'm pretty sure that gun can only hold 6. Whatever. Fuck it. And a lot of people in this movie are not actors, so there's going to be a lot of standouts.
You got any cigarettes?
Any of you guys got cigarettes?
Where you headed?
Downriver. We got an idea. Maybe we can make it to the island.
What island?
Any island. What about you? Where you headed?
Straight up.
Not in a great way. They don't quite hit as bad as that one guy in the first Fast and Furious movie. But, man, that cop is a fucking moron. And then we get we get comedic elements like the moron cop. And then it cuts to the townsfolk fighting back, and it looks like a bit of a resistance. We see the guard. It looks legit. Like people are taking a stand, and then immediately cut to them just, drinking beers and having a great fucking time, which is exactly what would happen. Like, come on. This country alone, we know there'd be a lot of those parties. George, you did it again, George. Fran as a character, I love her growth. Early on, I mentioned she is very weak. She doesn't get to do anything. But after a near-death experience from a very memorable, iconic zombie, but after a run-in with him, she steps up in a big way. She learns how to shoot and then takes it to the next level here. She becomes a co-pilot, and obvious spoilers here, Steven dies, so she becomes the only pilot in this movie. The come up was felt, Fran. Good shit. This scene right here is why I said Flyboy is kind of stupid and I wasn't a big fan of his character. This motherfucker is essentially shooting at shadows. Come on, dude. But unlike the mishap they did with Peter's character where he fired 7 shots, Steven fires 6 shots, then reloads. Accurate. Thank you. He grows into a stronger character. Just wasn't a fan. Yeah, I would say Steven and Roger, they start off in opposite places for me. Whereas I didn't really care for Steven and I grew to like him. Roger, I really liked in the beginning. And then he just starts to take a decline. He starts to get a little reckless. And what happens when you get reckless?
Roger! Roger, watch it!
Why would you leave the door open, Roger? Why would you leave the door open? Dumbass. It's shit like that that really fucks it up. And this is not a flaw against the movie. I think it's necessary for the movie to have characters, have stakes. People make mistakes. Pay the price.
Looks like a free lunch.
And those two make great zombies later on. Very memorable. I would say Steven really is a standout because he gets to do a shitload more. But Roger, I can never burn that image out of my head of him just slowly coming through the sheet. Yeah, I remember that way back in the day. I kind of forgot how in this movie they're afraid of fire. And I'm not talking about a big fucking scorcher. I just mean like a fucking blowtorch, something simple. I'm so used to The Walking Dead where they're fucking stupid and they like fire. After that honeymoon phase is over and it settles in. It starts to dawn on them that there's nothing next. I love how Fran turns down Steven's proposal and quote, "It wouldn't be real." That's legit. That's legit because you know damn well he's only proposing because, you know, he's scared. He thinks he may not have a lot of time left. That's not necessarily love. It's in the moment, and these are not the right circumstances. Like, we're just trying to survive, dude. But then that leads to just unnecessary. My biggest gripe against this film probably is this scene right here. Oh, wait. Can't really show that. But there's like about 20 seconds or so of unnecessary nudity. It's right after the proposal rejection scene, and it shows how disconnected they are and essentially dead Steven is. Look at that. Come on. I love when the bikers show up and they're just having fucking pie fights. You could not write this down. Well, maybe they did. I should know. I watched the director commentary. Apparently there was times where they were just like, well, what can we do today? Let's do that. Whatever it is, let's do it because we can. Keys to the fucking candy shop, y'all. Now, what kind of chaos is this movie filled with? Of course, the world is full of zombies and the world just ended. But what else, you may ask? Humans, of course. The zombies usually aren't the villains in George Romero movies, typically speaking. Have you seen the other gem, Day of the Dead? That'll really give you an idea where his mindset was. Not a big fan of Night of the Living Dead. Sorry. Put the pitchforks down. Not a big fan of it. I've actually just rewatched it recently just to give it a fair shake. You know the local meth head biker gang? That's who the fuck we gotta worry about. They fucking raid the mall later on and just... I mean, I don't really have words for it. You see this shit? This is a zombie movie. Oh my goodness. These fucking zombies, they're robbed, pranked, and fucking hit with Three Stooges comedy. Just, oh man, the video speaks for itself, okay? It's a madhouse when they arrive. The gunfight for the mall, you know, the final stand of the movie, it leaves some to be desired. But this isn't John Wick. Yeah. And those intestines? Or I don't know what they use for that. It's fucking effective. It grosses me out to this day. After watching the DVD commentary, I'm so glad to find out that they changed the original ending. So originally, you know, Steven and Roger, they were going to die. That's the way it's going to happen either way. But Fran and Peter, apparently they were going to kill themselves. And this was going to end on a super sour note, like Night of the Living Dead. So glad they changed it around. Apparently Peter was going to shoot himself in that scene. They had to, you know, reshoot and add some new things. And then Fran was going to jump into the propeller blades, which was foreshadowed early on. Super iconic scene, by the way. But I'm so glad that they decided to reshoot the ending and, you know, have them escape. It still ends on a sour note, though, because they mention how they don't have a lot of fuel and they don't know where to go. So things aren't perfect, but it's better than the ending of Night. This movie is a masterpiece, in my opinion. I can literally sit down and watch this movie any day. And as I said earlier, this is for free on YouTube, so you don't need to be like me and have a copy. You can just watch this version. This movie, Dawn of the Dead, gets a new religion rating for me. It's rare that a movie gets a new religion rating, unless you just recently saw my Logan video. Please go back and check that out. Even if you don't like Logan or not your speed, yeah, really appreciate you stopping by, joining me as I nerd out over Dawn of the Dead for its 45th anniversary. Thank you so much again. I'm TBH, and I'm signing out, y'all. Deuces.